If you find the thought of looking at the numbers in your business stressful and overwhelming and feel like it would be amazing to feel clarity and ease instead, contact Sarah Finns, finance coach and retired CPA. Through her program, Easy Business Bookkeeping, you can learn to manage your business finances in only minutes each week. With Easy Business Bookkeeping, you will get the tools and support you need to finally gain clarity with your finances so you can grow your business and your impact. Learn more at www.sarahfinns.com/self-paced. But yeah, man, so the way we've been doing this thing is if you want to introduce yourself and kind of say who you are, what you do, and anything you want to share about yourself, and we can kind of dive into this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Cody, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on. Massively appreciate it. And my name is Ben Herbert. I'm an online health and fitness coach. What we do is we help business owners build a better body, live with more energy so they can create more impact and freedom within their business. Ultimately, what we look at in terms of inside my own business called Become the Unstoppable is helping clients manage their lifestyle better, manage stress better, essentially build a better relationship with the stresses, the pressures, the overwhelm that comes with business. So therefore, you can operate with a clearer mind and from a healthier place in terms of your business, so you can have it operating the way you want whilst living in shape, having the energy you want, and performing the way you want across all realms of life. If that's relationships, if that's in your business, if that's just going out and about on a daily basis on yourself, like whatever that now looks like, we have you operating the absolute best in all realms, and that is the short of what we do.
Okay. Yeah, I love that, man, because I've said, like, I have a philosophy that I think everything in your life, I think your physical health is like a cornerstone for everything in your life. So, it's I guess another way to say this is it's almost like every other area in your life can only get to whatever degree your physical health is a way that I look at it. So in other words, if you are in, like, just say, if you could rate your physical health or your physical fitness, on 1 to 10, whatever, other areas in your life will probably only get somewhere around that 1 to 10, whatever that number is for your physical health. It'll probably be similar to other areas in your life, because I think you mentioned it. You have to be able to, just keep up with the demands and the stress of whatever it is you're trying to do, in the business world or whatever. So I don't know. I have a philosophy. I'm a really big believer that physical health is like a cornerstone for a lot of these other things in your life. And if I'm understanding you correctly, that's what you guys also kind of push something similar to the same message.
Yeah, 100%. We believe like you're like the power plant of your business. You are the power plant of your life. So depending where your energy is at, where your mental health is at, depending where and how you deal with stress, will be dependent on how well you deal with nutrition, how well you're dealing with your physique, how well you can perform in the gym, how well you can perform in your business. Because if you're not dealing with stress and pressure in the correct manner, then you're going to be like very reactive within your business. You might be missing certain things because you're distracted elsewhere. You may not be listening to your customer or your client that well. There'll be a breakdown in communications. Therefore, they may not see the value of what you're now trying to deliver because they don't feel seen or heard. Or if like a customer comes to you and they're like, I'd really like help on X, and you're distracted, you're stressed, you're reactive, and essentially you're not managing yourself well, you're not going to be showing up in that business as best as you can. So therefore, it's almost like you're not performing at the standard you want. And then you're more frustrated, you're more stressed, you're more pressured because it's like, what is going on? Why is business not working? Majority of the time, if like you're feeling the business is feeling a little bit off, it's because somewhere along the line, you're a little bit off.
Yeah. It makes total sense, man. Makes complete sense. I'm curious though, with these people that you work with, if they don't have some kind of fitness plan, if they're not in the gym or doing something, how do these people manage stress? Like, what is it? What's a common outlet that people use for stress? Because I can't, being in the gym, I can't imagine anything else, handling stress to that degree. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
like what,
absolutely. There's so many ways to manage stress. A lot of people will just now, for example, just go to the gym to almost like relieve that stress. And yes, it's an outlet, but something that we speak about inside BTU, Become the Unstoppable, is that you actually need to build an understanding of like where the stresses and the pressures are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
once you can get an understanding of where it's actually coming from, you can then understand like why it's now really happening. And what does that now mean in terms of your own behavior? What's the difference between when you're stressed and when you're pressured in behavior and when you're not stressed and pressured? What's the difference in behavior? When we can actually understand that, almost like the bottom line of it, we can then actually understand like what impact that's now having in your life, whether that be relationships, business, health, insert whatever you wish. And then you can actually be like, okay, how can we now actually build a better relationship towards that? What do we now need to put in place for you to actually be stronger when that is now happening? Because it is guaranteed to happen. It happens when you run a business all the time. You'll be experiencing it every single day. But it's like, if you're now just relying on the gym to reduce that stress, there's a high chance that, speaking to someone earlier, that they were just coming home and they were just like grabbing a couple of beers and then grabbing a quick bit of food, because that quick bit of dopamine hit, it relieves that stress. After a few beers, it numbs the stress, it numbs the pressure.
Right.
But yeah, it's impacting him in the gym because he's not losing the weight he wants. And he's like, well, why am I not losing the weight I want? And it's like, well, your stress and your pressure is coming from your business, so therefore you're emotionally eating and drinking. When in reality, if we can now actually understand why you are behaving in such a different manner when it's happening, we can then actually put a stopgap in place, very much like if you actually understand, if you know like what behavior change is.
Like
So,
like cognitive behavioral.
yeah, basically.
Okay.
So think of a triangle, and one of the corners you've got basically almost like stress and pressure.
Right.
Top part of the triangle is like the behavior, and then on the other bottom of the triangle is like an outcome. And all you're trying to do is improve the top point of the triangle, because it will break the chain of the outcome. So if you're just now doing, for example, going out on the weekend and just getting drunk, but it numbs the pain of stress, but you don't really want to be going out drinking, but yet you know it removes the thought of business. Or if you now come home and just smash a McDonald's and then you're three beers deep, well, it's good, all good and well in that moment because you've now forgot about that stress and pressure, but you've now got to face it when you wake up in the morning.
Right.
So it's just a continuous cycle. And they're like, why can't I have the body I want? Why can't I have the business I want? And it's all around behavior change. And if we can now improve essentially the action, what you're now doing in terms of the top part of the triangle, you then break the outcomes. Therefore, you'll behave better in alignment towards your nutrition, towards alcohol, towards relationships, towards how you respond to a client or a customer. And the outcome's always going to improve because you're breaking that almost chain.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good way to put that, man. I like that. This thing about stress, man, like the way I see stress is like, if it's voluntary, if you take on stress voluntarily, that completely changes the game. So if you say that something happens in your business and you say that this thing is happening to you, this stress or whatever this thing is happening to you, versus if you take the stressor on voluntarily and you choose to take that on and you're there and you're saying, I'm doing this, that completely changes the way because like an example of this is especially in business, like sometimes there's things that we don't want to do that we need to do that we know will improve our business. And for whatever reason, I guess because if it's a difficult conversation or a difficult phone call, or, if we just don't want to put in the work or whatever it is. But it's like these stressors, man, doing this like over a consistent, doing these consistently over time is what helps us, I think is what helps us handle the stress. And I don't know, when you talk about stressors, I don't know how deep you guys get into this with like the physical stuff, but like something like ice, like cold plunges, ice baths, dude, there's not many things that will stress you out like cold water will. And I think there's a neurochemical reason for that. I think it's because the adrenaline flushes in your system. And they say that when you do it, excuse me, I got this cough going on, man. I don't know what's going on. They say when you do the ice bath, you do the cold plunge, it floods your body with adrenaline. And so like it teaches you how to react when you're under pressure, when you're under stress. There's a lot of other benefits to cold plunging too, but that's one of the big things they say. But yeah, it's like if you do the stressor voluntarily, which the gym is also a stressor, physical fitness is also a stressor. If you do that voluntarily versus if you try to ease the stressor by doing something that inevitably will stress you out more, like drinking or, poor eating or whatever. It's just like it's like you go into there's like a fork in the road basically, and you can pick which way you want to go. Is the way I see this, and I don't know if this is if we're on the same page here, but this is kind of what I'm getting from this.
No, yeah, 100% makes sense. And like what you're saying there is like, if you're almost like forcing yourself into other stresses, it's almost like
Hmm.
you just build a tolerance, right? It's almost like building a bigger bicep, for example. The more repetition you do, the stronger it's going to get, the bigger it's going to get over time. It's like the more you can build a tolerance towards stress and almost be like, do you know what? I've opened my business. This is going to happen. It's almost like you've accepted it straight away. So you've almost like got a one-upmanship towards that stress. So you've
Yeah.
almost like built a tolerance to it already. And also, I think it's like just about repetition and really understanding like the better you can be, whether that's an ice bath, whether that's going to a gym, whether it's like behavior change, whether that's really just dominating what you have around you and being at your best, whatever that consists of.
Hmm.
You're going to be far more proactive when it comes to stress than reactive, right?
Right. Exactly. And I think too, something else to take into consideration is like the meaning that you give to the stress. Again, if you take it on voluntarily, you're telling yourself, I'm doing this because it's going to make whatever area better. Like I'm doing this because XYZ is going to be better. Versus if something happens to you and you're like, damn it, why is this happening to me? Like, why am I the unlucky one here? It's like if you change your mentality about it, and you give it, not to use a very cliche example, but if you give it a meaning, if you give the stressor a meaning, it changes what it means basically. Um, but so I'm curious. You said something there that I wanted to touch on, and it completely slipped my mind what it was. Um, you said that what were we saying there? You were saying what'd you say? Just kind of like a summary of the last like 30 seconds that you said before I said that.
Almost like just building a tolerance towards it and taking almost like that ownership and responsibility. Like it is going to happen, it is going to come, and it's just about again, like as soon as you, like you saying there, basically was like as soon as you can almost like say, yeah, this is going to happen. This is what I've stepped into. It's almost like you've took the power of the situation, so you've removed the power of that stress and that pressure. Yes, it's going to feel crap at times, and it it won't feel nice. But as long as you're in a good spot, you'll be able to deal with it much better by being that proactive person.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think what I was going to touch on was you mentioned about behaviors, and
Yep.
I was going to ask you, what other than like stress and how these people handle stress that you work with, what's something that you see that's maybe like another behavior? So stress sounds like it might be one, how they handle stress, what kind of stress they have, the decisions they make, when that stress comes. But are there other things? I mean, is it mindset? Is it what's other things that you see are a problem with people that come to you?
So very much it'll be just in general, like they'll have like a nutritional problem. They'll think they have a training problem. Like I can't get into the gym. My nutrition's off. Like the world has more information than it's ever had. Right? We're not short of information.
Right.
What we're actually short of is implementation. But the reason why we can't implement it is because we haven't got the headspace. Now you could call that down to energy. You can put that down to mindset. That could be down to actually like other lifestyle management issues that are going on.
Mm.
And it's like almost like just improving yourself as a person, not as just like a nutrition area or a training area. It's like improving yourself from like a foundational standpoint of like if we can improve your nutrition, your training, if we can actually improve like your limiting beliefs that you've now got around maybe a certain thing within your health or within
Hmm.
business, you're building that actual structure for it to be able to stand up to the pressures and the tests that you're going to have across life. So what we see so often is like they'll come to us like out of shape. The first thing they want is they want to get in shape. They want to live with more energy, right?
Hmm.
But where they think it comes from is I can't get my nutrition to stick. I fall off the wagon. Some weeks I'm on it. Some weeks I'm not on it. It's because they don't understand themselves as a person well enough. Because they again like they don't know how to manage that pressure, that stress. They might be organizing their business really well, but they don't factor themselves into the week. So therefore, their organization skills may just need tweaking and improving.
Right.
It's not just like a let's just look at your training and nutrition. It's like let's actually look at you as the human being and see what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense, man. Something that I wish somebody would have told me before I started this whole fitness journey or personal growth journey or whatever. I wish somebody would have told me how important sleep was. Like, I mean, because it sounds so simple, man. But if I were talking to somebody, and I don't know how you guys do this as as a business as professionals, but if I were talking to somebody and they could not get the fitness results they wanted, the first thing I would do is ask them how their sleep was. Ask them what was going on with sleep. Are they getting enough? Is the environment right? Are they sleeping with bright lights on? Is there a TV on? Are they eating too close before they go to bed? How is the sleep? Because it's like, yes, diet is important and rest from the gym is important and what you do in the gym is important, but you can go longer without eating than you can without sleep. Like you can a couple times a year, maybe once or twice a year, I try to do like a 72-hour fast where I only drink water, no food for 72 hours. You can't go with, I mean, you probably can go without sleep for 72 hours, but you're going to be in much worse shape than you are without food for 72 hours. So like, I just wish that like I could go back and just tell myself, how important sleep was. And I know that's hard when you're, an entrepreneur and you have all these things going on and you're working, 12, 16 hours a day, whatever it is. But man, if you can prioritize that sleep, if you can because here's the deal, like, yeah, you might get another hour of work done or whatever if you miss an hour of sleep. But that next day, how productive are you going to be when you lost that hour of sleep? Like, how much more productive could you be if you had just got that 1 hour? I mean, it sounds so simple, man, but like, I think if you improve the quality of your sleep, that's when you can really you start making these changes stick, especially like the fitness stuff, the diet stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'd say sleep's most probably the biggest thing you could look at, because like you just said, there is like, you can go longer without food than sleep. And if you actually look, if you're sleep deprived, if you look from a hormone standpoint, your hunger hormones are just going to be through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you're already feeling tired if you're sleep deprived. Then you'll opt in for like low quality food because your hunger hormones just be fluctuating everywhere. So
Right.
therefore, you can't even control yourself around food because your hormones are just absolutely jacked up through the roof, just wanting quick sources of food. That low quality food now reflects back into low quality energy, right?
Hmm.
So now you're just in a state of sabotage, because now yourself just causing yourself just all kinds of problems.
Yeah, it's a cycle. It's like yeah.
And then you look at the sleep, and like you said there, like productivity, then like the actual, or it's almost like sticking a cloud over the top of your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure like when you've done your fast is like, if you think back to if you've ever done it without water, for example, right? Do you ever feel like you just can't think clearly, and it's a bit like the thinking's a little bit blurry, it's a little bit off? It's exactly what you get with
I
sleep,
mean,
right?
yeah. Like, but here's the thing though. Back when I was in my early 20s, I just turned 30 this year. So back when I was in my early 20s, I could go, I felt like I could go 5 hours of sleep and be fine. But now I don't know if it's because I'm doing more or the demands are more or whatever. I'm assuming it's proportional to like the food, people who who if you lift heavy weights, if you're very active or whatever, you obviously need more calories. And I get that. But one of the things from fasting that I noticed about the food part was like, there's at around 48 hours, there's like there's a peak in mental clarity. After that, it kind of declines for me. I've never done longer than 72, so I can't speak to that. But if you go without, like these days, what I'm getting at is these days, if I sleep, 5 hours or so, I just feel like shit, and you just can't. And you mentioned something too about having a cycle. Yeah, you feel bad. So then you're probably not going to take your diet as seriously. So you eat something like McDonald's or whatever. And then that just makes you feel worse. And then, so it's just like this cycle. But I just feel like, man, if you just start out with the right sleep, that's the foundation, And I mean,
100%. It's like, I'm not sure, like, what, like, everyone that listens to this, I don't know, like, every single individual that would be listening to this podcast, but it's like, think of building a house, right? Like, you wouldn't now just go and stick a roof on without, like, building the house upwards, because there would be, like, no
right.
roof to put on. But a lot of people will now search for the supplements, the ice bath, right? Which they're all amazing things, right? But it's like, where's the foundation? What
Right.
about when an analogy I use is like, when you build a house, you want to build the foundations first, right? So it's nice and strong to build upon. So
Yeah.
therefore, when the storm comes, like especially you guys in America, like you have a lot of tornadoes and hurricanes, right? Houses will get hit, and the storm will come and it will happen. And that's
Hmm.
like you and your business is like if your foundations haven't been built into a solid zone, that business problem will come and destroy like your own building, which is you as the person. And it will knock you straight over.
Yep.
So the more the foundation can be built to a stronger level, the more you're going to stand up to the test of stress, pressure, a little bit of sleep deprivation, because you've got those strong boundaries placed in your life in terms of making sure majority of the time, yes, there's going to be certain situations, but like majority of the time, if you can get quality sleep in, that's a good building block of a foundation.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So, okay, so we talked about stress, we talked about mindset. Are there any other like common problems that you see? I know these are very big umbrellas like stress and mindset. I mean, mindset can include a lot of things.
Yeah.
What's something else that's kind of common before we move on from this, kind of a common issue that you think people have? Uh I don't know if it's something like I don't know because I want to say like influences, like environmental influences, but I feel like that goes along with mindset. If you have somebody around
Environment's
you that's
huge.
yeah,
Environment's huge, especially like this time of year. I'm not sure if you've got many. I know you guys have just had Thanksgiving, right? So it's now going into a part of Christmas. But so like you've got like almost like double trouble, shall we say? Because you've got two sections really close together. Where over
right,
here we've just got Christmas, but it's like you'll be going out with your friends to like the bars or the restaurants, and if you're trying to look after your health and you still want to have fun over Christmas, if you're getting in those environments and you've not communicated with people of how you want to be feeling, how you want to be performing, what you're now currently doing, it's very easy to get pulled left, right, and center, right? Of like, oh, let's go out this night, let's go out that night, let's go to this restaurant, let's have these drinks, let's go out and party, right? And it's really hard to
hmm,
say no if you've not communicated in the first place.
right,
So therefore, like environment's huge, even in environment of like your office setup, right? If you've got, especially this time of year, if you've got like gifts coming in from clients or you've got chocolates sitting around the office, it's going to be so easy now just to be picking at those things.
hmm,
And they're small little like chocolates out of a box, right? But they all add up at the end of the day. And then you sat
right.
there feeling a little bit bloated, feeling a little bit sluggish, and you're a bit like, oh, my nutrition's been awful. Well, no, it hasn't. It's just you've set your environment up wrong for your day, right?
All right,
And
yeah,
now like you've then thought, oh, do you know what, I've not been as productive in my business because of my nutrition. But if we then backdate it even further, look at your environment.
exactly. Yeah, I agree. The environment's huge. Just to kind of go on a little side tangent, it's crazy because the first week of January, second week of January, the gym is packed. The gym is packed with people because it's like you said, we have two major holidays. Probably the biggest holidays in America are 1 month apart. And so, so I guess people, they have this guilt for whatever, because of their diet over the holidays or whatever it was. And then January, first week of January, second week of January, the gym is packed for like a month and then people taper off, but yeah, the environment is huge, man. And that's like not just the physical environment, that's the mental environment, the people that you have around you, the people, information that you consume, people that I don't think we understand how damaging it is really to be around negativity that just like I mean it just drains you, man. Like it just like people that complain and like there's nagging all the time and there's always something going on. And then also too, something else that's really big is like when you have a goal and you like specify a goal, you say a goal out loud, and there's those certain people that just like for whatever reason they don't want you to pursue that thing because they want you to stay safe or whatever it is. Like that's a huge thing. I mean, like the people that are around you, the environment you're in, the information that you take into your body. This is why I think that physical fitness is one of the most like important things you can do, because you monitor what goes in your body. That's not just your diet. That's also the mental, the physical, the emotional influences that go into you. Like you monitor all these things. When you start to take care of your body, you take care of your body. You take care of, you filter out what goes in. You filter, and that's not just diet. That's also these other things. And then, when you do that, I find I don't see how it could not benefit you if you filter the things that influence your mentality. I don't see how that would not have a positive effect.
100%. I absolutely agree, and it's something that you see from a lot of business owners, especially like small business owners, they'll be like, it's almost like I haven't got time to do it. Like I'll wait until the new year. I'll wait until almost like that perfect time, right, when business is a little bit more quiet. But in reality, business is never going to be quiet. But it's like it's almost like one, they don't see the value in like really taking charge of their health and what impact it will now really have, or
Mm-hmm.
taking charge of their environment, or insert whatever thing they need to do. And it's like one, they obviously need to sit like they need to understand themselves, like the value of it, how it will impact their life, how it will impact their business. And also it's like it's a state of change, you know. It's like you can't change someone. They've got to be willing to make that change.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be, you know, could be the way someone cooks a burger, right? If they're not willing to change the way they cook the burger, they're never going to improve that burger, right? If they're not willing to improve the way they do podcasting, they're not going to change, right? They'll never improve it. So it's a really tricky one, because it's almost like that thing's almost like where you're trying to help someone, I'm trying to help someone. It's like it's almost out of your control. You can show them as much, it's like leading a horse to water, right? But you can't make it drink.
Right.
It's that same thing, and you can put it into any bracket: business, environment, health, training, nutrition, ice bath, sleep, whatever it may be.
Right. Right.
It can be a really tricky one. It's like, and I think that it just comes down to like really looking at it, like how much better could I be?
Mm-hmm.
Not how much more could I do, but how much better could I get?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will think I need to do more, but in reality, they've got everything they now need. It's just improving what they've already got.
Yeah, and I think doing more, man. I think that's like being busy is a good way to give ourselves an excuse that we don't have time to do the things that that would improve ourselves. So it's like I feel like sometimes we use being busy as a way to say, oh, well, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to improve myself but then it's like you have to ask yourself, well, the things that you're doing to be busy, are you being busy or are you being productive? Because there's a difference. Are you just doing something to pass the time to give yourself an excuse, or are you doing something that's productive? And I think that's a huge one, because I think subconsciously, whether we realize it or not, it's easier to do that busy work than it is to do the work that would improve ourselves, which by extension would make us more productive,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost like a form of procrastination, right? Of just being busy.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're just putting off the thing you need to address.
Yep.
But it's like, why are you actually putting off the thing that you need to address? Like, what's the limiting belief behind it? Like, what are you worried about? And almost like take yourself down the rabbit hole of exploring and understand like why you're putting it off.
Right. Right.
Why is there a limit to it?
So, Ben, let's change gears here for a second, because I wanted to ask you about this. Did we talk last time we talked about you working with people to increase like sales and cash flow, that kind of thing. Was that right?
Yeah. So yeah, we do that inside BTU. We help them understand like how they can actually be better in those types of realms. I don't give strategies or tactics around it because they already do it very well. It's just improving potentially how they communicate or how they can improve the initial phase of it so they make the process easier.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess for the rest of the conversation, we'll just assume that, like the physical health is one of the most important things. We already said that. That's I think there's a lot of reasons for that physical health and physical fitness is like a big part of this. But I mean, other than, the things we've already talked about, mindset, physical health, environment, whatever, like what, when you say you work with these people and they're doing it kind of well, I'm assuming there's not many problems that need to be addressed. You just kind of help improve. I don't really know how to ask this question.
No, it's absolutely fine. So like, I'll give you an example. So in terms of, one of my clients, she owns a wine bar, really cool wine bar. It's almost, they have like grazing boards. That's what they specialize in like wine. And she's looking we built out yesterday her 2024, basically her pipeline of what's going to be how she's going to theme each single month to one, create excitement in her local area, create excitement on social media, and obviously that's going to generate more business, right? And so what we actually looked at was like, What ways can we now theme it? She has loads of ideas because like if you've got your own business, you're obviously good at what you do.
Right.
It's how can we get you even thinking even better in that space? So it's like, okay, like let's look at February. Like in February in the UK, it's like half term, right, for the kids at school. So it's like, could we now actually theme something of maybe like kids eat for free when they come to the wine bar? And she's like, I never really thought about that. And I was a bit like, it's almost like giving an incentive for people to come out and spend money,
Mm-hmm.
but yet their children are eating for free. That's
Yeah.
something quite popular over in the UK. I'm not sure if you guys have it over there. Or like the start of summer. What tends to happen for the start of summer? Her clientele, yes, they have children, but they're not like an old clientele. They're like a middle-aged to young clientele. And it's very much like, what do they do in terms of their summer? Well, if they can get an opportunity, what they like is, and this is discussion she's been having with her clients, is like they love music. They love almost like that summer festive style. So it's
Right.
like, could we now actually create like an almost like a theme of like an Ibiza night inside your restaurant, like something completely different, but you know your customers really love because you've now understood what your customers like outside of just eating and drinking.
Yeah.
And she's
I
like,
got you.
I've never really thought about this, but this is absolutely fantastic because this is what these people like, and we've got a base. They've got a really tight community of
Mm-hmm.
people. And then it's like we basically ran through from January 2024 to December 2024 what the months could look like and what that could now entail, and then basically just build out each month.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So just make like a strategy and just kind of implement that strategy based on what you think the results would be. In the I guess in her marketplace, in
Yeah,
her
absolutely.
stores.
Because it's like if you don't understand your marketplace, if you don't understand your people, it's going to be really hard to sell, make money, and sell right.
Right.
So it's like if you can understand, let's say, restaurants, if you can understand your people really well for like maybe like if you can send out questionnaires off the back of they've been into their email address or whatever that may be, you can find out and collect as much data as possible, right? So
Mm-hmm.
therefore it allows you to improve your product. So therefore it's always going to be improving. Therefore you can get more customer. Therefore you can potentially bring in more customer, or if you want to niche down to a specific type of customer, you can do that, then bring price up, so many
Yeah.
avenues to go down.
Yeah.
But the more you can accumulate data, the more you have to play with.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I think that knowing your ideal client and marketing to that client, I think that is everything. Because when we're kind of focused on like everything at once, it's hard to focus on anything. But if you know exactly what your clientele is, what your ideal client is, I think that is like the most valuable thing you can know as a business owner, because you might spend unnecessary amounts of money marketing to a population that's not nowhere even near interested in your product or your service or whatever. So I think that's incredibly valuable. um so yeah, you mentioned a good point earlier that the people who own the business or the service or the company or whatever are typically good at what they do, but then there's other jobs within the company that need to be done that maybe those people aren't so good at. So when it comes to sales specifically, do you work with any people as far as like because it sounds like this lady might be the business owner. Do you work with like actual salespeople and increasing their sales, or is it just mostly business owners and entrepreneurs?
No, so we've got some like coaches like myself inside my program,
Mm-hmm.
um, and again, it's like we talk about like the building the house, the foundation, right?
Right.
For like them, it's very much like understanding their people, like we've just spoke about there, understanding like what they want as a result,
Mm-hmm.
how how that coach wants to produce a result, who he wants to or she wants to speak to about a certain topic. The one they can accumulate all of that data, it makes the sales process so much easier because they know what they're talking about.
Right.
The potential client knows that they're good, that coach is good at what they do. They understand the business really well. They can see the results. They feel really connected and seen and heard. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, they feel safe as soon as they book in for that call. And then when you go on that call, it's just an open conversation, just like this, because it's like there's so much buying already. You don't have to sell really, because they're like, "Tell me more. I want to be a part of it."
Yeah. So do you work with people who are like specifically sales? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, I'm trying to get your opinion on like what makes a good salesperson, just based on the things you've seen and people you've worked with. Like, what is it that?
What makes a good salesperson? Very good question. Energy to start
Hmm,
with.
hmm,
Energy, like if you're turning up and you're sleep deprived, like we've already spoke about, and your head's
right.
on the table, like come on, just let's get this call done.
Yeah.
That's not gonna do the job, right? So like energy, first port of call.
Hmm.
Um, almost have like a relationship before with the person before you step on the call or have the call with someone, so you know them really well.
Right. Right.
Understand their, like, let's say you've got like three to five main problems. Understand what those problems are, and that you can actually serve that customer and resolve those problems.
Yep.
And
So
also,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
like I'd say maybe one more bit is like it's not essentially like being really good at the sale. It's almost like just being a really good communicator
Hmm.
and a really good listener. Because when you can listen well, you can hear what they're saying behind what they're saying, if that makes sense.
Right. Right.
So then, for you can then tap into that thing that they're expressing, but they're not saying.
Yeah, but in order to do that, you have to be able to understand the person, and I think I think that is what a lot of salespeople miss, because I think a lot of times when people go into a sale as the salesperson, they're just trying to make the sale, they're just trying to make the dollar, and that's obvious, man, and that's not like I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk who said chasing money is usually the best way not to get it. Like if you can, the philosophy I have, man, is if you can go into it as if you're solving a problem for the client, not trying to just make the money, you'll probably have a much better outcome. Because if I'm talking to you and you have a problem that you're paying me to solve, and I'm trying to solve that problem for you, we're going to have much better outcome than we would if I'm just trying to get you to pay me. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like it's a much different result. It's a different approach. And I don't know about you, but me on the buyer's end, if I have a salesman or a saleswoman who is just like overly pushy and who is just like obviously there to make a dollar, nothing will guarantee that I do not do business with this person more than that. Like if I just feel like I'm just a number and like I clearly have, a problem here. I have everything laid out. Like I'm looking for this, and like it's clear to me that they're just looking for that commission or whatever it is. It's like I don't care what the product is, what the service is, what the reputation of the company is. To me, and maybe I'm a minority buyer here, but to me that's like a very good way to guarantee I'm not going to do business with this person. Just because, I mean, it's I don't know. It's kind of like cringy almost, like if, I mean, I hate to say it that way, because yes, the person is trying to make the sale, and yes, it's business, and yes, that's what it takes, and whatever. And you have to make money for the business to operate. I get that. But you mentioned something about a relationship, man. You can't, the best salespeople I've ever met that I was on the customer end of, it's like we had a relationship. It's like I felt like they at least, tried to get to know me or whatever. And
Yeah,
when you say energy, I think that's right. I think that's what I would say 100% energy. Like, just your personality, your presence. Like, how are you operating around these people? Like, what it, we mentioned sleep. You mentioned sleep. If you have a problem as a salesperson, I mean, you can't take that into your call. You can't take your personal problems. You have to leave all that stuff, as they say, leave it at the door or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to go off on a rant here or
no,
hijack
yeah,
your question.
I fully agree. Like again, like if someone would say what would make a good salesperson, I'd actually forget anything to do with sales. I'd then come back to the person like, how are you actually managing your own lifestyle?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's another big one.
Because it's like again, it comes back down to the building the foundation of the house. Is like if your sleep's off, you're going to be off on that call because you're not going to have that full concentration. There's going to be a cloud over your head. If you're not managing and giving time to your relationships, high chances you're going to be getting it in the ear hole from your husband or your wife, and you're a bit like then you're distracted on that call because you're like, I've just had an argument with him. Oh my god, I don't even want to be on this call. I need to resolve this situation.
Yeah.
Oh, as soon as I get off this call, I know I'm going to get it in the neck from him or her. Or like if I don't know, if you've got like loads of open loops in terms of customers that you haven't got back to, instantly you're thinking, oh, I've got another call, but I haven't even got back to my customers. Oh my god! Again, organization.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense when you put it that way.
and then it's like, oh, I've got a sales problem. I can't close all these leads I've got, and blah blah blah. It's a bit like, have you got a sales problem, or have you just got a lifestyle management that you just need to improve on, so therefore you can be present within that moment of that call?
That is a really good way to put that. Yeah, because that makes a lot of sense when you word it that way.
It's almost like looking at an A4 bit of paper and how many ticks can you get in the boxes of I'm entering that call, but I've ticked every single box so I can be at my best for this single call. For like this call right here with you, is I've had five other calls today, but before this call I went out for a quick walk, I
Mm-hmm.
hydrated, I grabbed some food. Those three things are going to guarantee me I'm going to have some form of focus and energy on this call. And also I love
Yeah,
to talk about health and business, so it's going to be an ideal call.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but see, I think the problem is, man, like we, especially new, like when we first get into sales, like new salespeople, we think that there's some sort of, like you said, some sort of checklist or some sort of procedure or whatever. But the thing is, like every interaction is so different. And if you're trying to connect with the person, there's not really going to be a blueprint because every person's different. Every situation is different. Yeah, you might have a what they call maybe a sales pitch or a presentation or whatever, if you're presenting to a group of people or talking to a group of people, I think that's a little bit different. But if it's a one-on-one situation, that interpersonal connection is going to be everything. And and understanding too how that personality, like I'm sure you're aware of like the DISC personality profiles. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
with the DI SC or whatever it is. Just knowing how people operate and why they think the way they do, and also knowing that about yourself, man. Like knowing why you think the way you do, or if you're on that side of the table, if you're the salesperson, how are you coming across to the person that's across from you? Are you being too aggressive? Are you being too direct? Are you being not direct enough? Are you asking too many questions? Are you being overly analytical? Like, I mean, I think obviously self-awareness is a big cure to a lot of problems, but I think that's one of the big things that can help us out with this, just kind of being how do we come across to other people? Because like me, I consider myself a very driven, like focused person, and when I'm trying to do a thing, I'm just trying to do that thing and trying to do it. But to somebody who's maybe a little bit more reserved, more relaxed, that might come across as like too assertive or too aggressive. And so you just have to kind of be aware of how, like, the things that you do, how does this affect the people that are around you? And this is, I mean, we can kind of put this off in a different area, not just business. This is like personal relationships, intimate relationships. I think it's just everything, man, to be aware of that. Which leads down another comment. We're not really, I don't know about it where you guys are, but here in America, our education system, we are not taught personalities like this. Like, we're not really taught personality, characteristics or how to connect with other people, or, you know, um, which seems like a very important thing. And why we're not taught it, who knows, but it never comes up in our public education system, the first 12, 13 years, whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree. We schools over here, we don't get taught any of this sort of stuff. Like, you don't get taught how to run a business. You don't get taught how to sort of like really understand human behavior or sales and stuff like this. It's not taught. It's almost like you have to just learn as you go. And that is why I always say, like the better you are, the better your business will be, because when you can really develop yourself as a human being, and like everything you've just covered there is like, you can then actually uh, be better with your customers, with your clients on these calls, right?
Right.
And it's something else that I've recently have been developing on myself. Can you hear the dogs, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah. I can hear him. Yeah. It's all good. I was actually gonna once you finished, I was gonna say let's take a break really quick, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's up
so
to you.
just finish it up is in terms of is like how you can actually understand human behavior on a call. Is like, if you're selling to someone or if you're on a sales call, is like, if they're looking left, it means a certain something. If they're looking right, it means a certain something. If they're looking down or up, they're all signals of something.
Hmm.
Depending on, I even think you can even go further than that. It's like, if they're looking upwards, they're thinking. If they're looking down, they're basically like a bit nervous and a bit unsure. I think if they're looking left, I want to get this correct, that they're not telling the truth. Um, And you can even take it further if like they're looking top left or bottom right, it tells another story.
Yeah.
And it's like as soon as you can learn that human behavior, it's like you're going to be far better looking at their body language on a call, because then you can actually understand where to almost like pull them around and maybe question them a little bit more, or pull back slightly with the directness, or force the directness, and you can actually be quite tactical with it.
Yeah, body language is huge, man. I think body language is something. It's above 80%. It's above 80% of what, like the way what a person, the message they are sending is sent through body language. Like 80, like the message is conveyed through body language 80%. So in other words, if their body language does not match their words, it's probably wise to follow the body language. You know,
Yep.
and then I think there's like body language, tone, and the actual words that you use is, I think it's in that order. I forget the numbers, but it's above 80% that like it influences the, body language has influenced the message that much. Ben, let's take a quick break,
Yep.
really quick. We'll be right back on this thing. Yeah, so we were talking about the sales though, and I would imagine, that also, when we say sales, it's not just the sales, it's also the marketing too. How are you marketing yourself? Which, I mean, what we're seeing here is no matter what we say, it all comes down to like who you are and how you present yourself, and like your personal growth. What's on your mind, what's not on your mind, how are you portraying yourself to the person? It's like no matter what we say, it all comes back to that. It's like I feel like it all starts with that.
It all starts with the person. It all finishes with the person.
Right.
Because you control it all. You can either. Can I swear on this or not?
Yeah, sure.
So I was speaking to someone that joined the program yesterday, and he's like, something I've realized since we've been chatting is like, I'm my biggest problem, but I'm also my biggest success, because I can either fuck it up for myself, or I can make it a success.
Right.
It's like, because it's like you create it all, you can continue to build it all, or you can just destroy it, with depending how you manage yourself.
Yep.
Like there is like a lot of people try and search for like magical things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you say this as well. It's like the boring stuff, the fundamentals, the basics. They're the basics for a reason.
Yeah.
And then you just sprinkle a bit of sauce over the top of it, and it's done.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that, man. Because I feel like you are your biggest enemy, and you're also your biggest asset or supporter or whatever. Because but like everything that you think can be, like everything that happens to you can be influenced by that very sentence. Because if you say that something happens to you or something is wrong, if you are your biggest enemy, the way you react to that and the way you handle that influences. I know I said this earlier, influences what you see that happens to you. So if you have a business call that doesn't, the outcome's not what you thought it would be, you can look at it and say, oh, well, I just must not be, I'm not a good business person. I must not be meant to do this. Like there's something wrong with me, whatever. Or you could say, okay, well, something happened here that I didn't do something right. I didn't, make this relationship right. I didn't make the call in time, or I didn't say the right thing, whatever, And so again, we're at that fork in the road. And so, but when you say that you're your biggest enemy and you're also your biggest asset, that tells you that there's not anything outside of you that can influence you the way your own mind can. I think there's an African proverb. I think it's an African proverb that says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. So it is, and this is like, man, if I had a fundamental message outside of fitness being so important, I would say that your mindset is like the most important thing that you can be, I think that you can be aware of, because it influences everything. It influences the world around you. It influences what you think happens to you. It influences how you think people see you, and how you see how people see you.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, let's say you go back to that call, and you don't close that call, or you don't bring that customer into the business, right? It'd be so easy to be thinking, and I know so many people think this because I've done it myself in the past, like, oh, I'm just not good at sales, I'm just not this, they just didn't want it bad enough, and you can shift blame absolutely everywhere. But in
Yep.
reality, you're like, okay, cool, perfect, I didn't perform very well on that call, I didn't perform very well with that customer. What actually was it? Because, okay, yes, you're saying you've not performed well, but you've also took the power back of like, okay, I can improve. I can improve
Yep.
that situation. So that next call I then step onto, I've then, okay, it's going to be a different person, but I'm going to be much improved because I've been aware of what's gone wrong, what's gone right, and how I can actually strengthen that position.
Exactly. Yep. Um, Ben, before I just want to make sure you have time for this. Do you have a promotion you want to do for your company or a website or social media or anything? I just want to make sure we have time to cover that before we finish up.
So you can catch me on Instagram, _ Ben Herbert. You have me on LinkedIn, just Ben Herbert. You have me on Facebook, Ben Herbert. And then I have my own podcast on Apple and Spotify, and it's called Becoming the Unstoppable.
Okay. One thing I want to ask you about, something I kind of ask everybody before we close out. If you had to kind of pinpoint or share one of the most important lessons you ever learned or one of the most valuable things you've ever learned, if it was something you were comfortable sharing, it could be related to business, personal growth, whatever, just something that you would think. I know it might be kind of hard to pinpoint one, but maybe one of the most important that you would be comfortable sharing.
That is such a good question. That is such a good question. I'm going to break it down into different parts.
Okay.
For you to build a really strong health standpoint and a business standpoint, no matter what that business is and no matter what that health looks like to you, is actually like build a vision for yourself. What does that vision now really look like? Don't now just think goals in terms of like things you can achieve, but think of like what you're trying to create. What's the far greater impact if you now build this business? If you now live with the body, the energy, the confidence you now want. What impact is that now going to have on your life? What impact is that now going to have on your business? How is it now going to impact your family? How's it now going to impact your customers and your customers' family? Because your own goals and your own desires that you want aren't just going to impact you. They impact absolutely everyone. And that's the importance of you showing up at your best, because let's say you're a coach, and let's say you're a mindset coach, for example, or you're a sales coach. If you can get that person selling really well, they're going to earn more money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But by improving that client to sell better, you're not just improving that business, that person. You're allowing their customer, their life to improve, that customer's family's life to improve, the person selling, their family's life's going to improve, their relationships are going to improve, they're going to be able to do more, be able to have more, be able to experience more in life. So it's like your business is far greater than just who you are and what you're about. It impacts people beyond what you can imagine. So it's like, if you can get really clear on like why you really want to do this one thing and what impact that will now have, then it's actually pulling yourself back and actually looking at like, well, where do I now need to place myself in terms of energy, focus, education? And then my second part to that would be, like we started the call, is like you're the power plant of everything. You start it and you finish it. And I imagine this is what the listeners are experiencing. They're like, wow, Ben just is literally like just all about the person. I am, because you are the creator, you are the destroyer. You can make it go to places. You can also pull it away from going to places. So like, the better you can be, the better your business will be. That is the one thing I've really learned over, I'd say, the last like 2 to 3 years. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at all, because I am not a perfect product. I still have to work on myself more than ever, because the better you get, the harder it gets, right? And it's, if you could just keep improving yourself day by day, 1% better every single day, you're going to have a far greater impact on your own life and the business, so you can have absolutely everything you want. And number 3, patience. Patience. You might not make the money you want in the business for January. You might not make the money you want in February. But as long as you're behaving in the manner that highlights that it's on track towards the trajectory it's on, then you're always going to win the battle, right? Because you can stand there at the end of the day and be like, I've done my absolute best. I just need to rejig a few things, and then I can take that next step forwards. But it takes patience.
I love that answer, man. First of all, I think patience is really, for me at least, is really hard. Excuse me, just because, like I said, I just have, if I get something on my mind and want to do it, I just want to do it. And patience was definitely a hard thing for me to learn, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be with that. Um, but yeah, you mentioned about the person, whoever is connected to the person is their life is better if your life is. So in other words, people, if you can improve yourself, if you can grow yourself, people connected to you are going to benefit from that. you know and this is why I tell people um that I think your personal your self improvement, your personal growth should be at the forefront of the things that you try to do in your life, because everybody that is connected to you is going to benefit from that. If it sounds so cliche and so simple, but you can't pour from an empty cup. If your cup is just has a little bit in it, or if you're not doing a whole lot for yourself, it's hard for you to give the best version of yourself to other people. And I agree 100%. I think that if you can focus on improving yourself, growing yourself, hitting your own goals, everybody who's connected to you will benefit because of that. It's not just, I mean, it sounds selfish when you say work on yourself and improve yourself, but it's really not, man, because that's how you give the best part of you to other people, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And you can then again ask yourself the question: is it selfish or is it selfless? Because there's two parts to play, right?
Damn, that
Because
just blew my mind. That just blew my mind. Is it
be-
selfish or is it selfless?
because it's like you're giving so much to the world to
Mm-hmm.
improve not just your life but everyone else's life.
Right.
Is that now selfish or is that selfless? So no matter what way you look at it, is everyone wins.
Exactly. For sure. Ben, listen, man, I know you got to get out of here. I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate this, man. I appreciate your insight, appreciate your wisdom. I hope that hope this reaches the right person, and you guys can work together and figure out whatever there's so many problems that I feel like people face, and that but it's these kind of messages that I think are going to help things. These kind of like this kind of message is really what's going to put the word out there and get things changed. Let me explain something to you about this upload situation really quick, but I do appreciate your time. I'm going to end the video and we'll get it wrapped up, but I appreciate it, man. Hey guys, I appreciate you tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find more content at Pure Wisdom Podcast. This is on Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple and Google Podcasts. There you can like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time.